Genesis chapter 3 is one of the most familiar stories in the Bible. Because it's so familiar, many of us learned what it meant before we ever learned what it said. It's where Adam and Eve eat of the fruit. So for a few minutes, I want to do something very, very simple. I want to read a small part of that story out loud, and then I want to sit with it. No arguments, no conclusions, just the text. Okay, I'm going to read Genesis chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. And this happens right after Adam and Eve have eaten of the fruit. This is the NASB version. They heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees in the garden. Then the Lord God called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" There are a few things that the text tells us very plainly. The humans hid. It doesn't say that God leaves or God withdraws or God becomes silent. It says that the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden. Walking was the word used to describe it. It didn't say he rushed in, stormed in. They've sinned. They've broken the only rule he gave them. He had a right to come in angry or confronting. But it says he was walking. That's the word used. God's present. He's there. And God speaks. And the first words out of God's mouth are not a command. They're not a punishment. They're not a verdict. They're a question. What does he say? Where are you? That question matters. Questions are not how condemnation works. Questions are how relationship stays open. And if you think about it, in a relationship with your friends, your coworkers, your spouse, if you are annoyed at something, you can choose to come in confronting, why did you do that? God could have done that. Why did you eat of the fruit? I told you not to. What were you thinking? Okay, those aren't real questions. Those are blame and accusations disguised as a question. But if you really are trying to find out, hey, where are you? What do you need? Why did you need that? If you're asking curiosity type questions, it keeps the relationship open. And that's what God was doing. He was asking these questions. He wasn't asking for information. Where are you? Like God had no idea where they were? No, God knew where they were. But the question invites Adam and Eve to step out of hiding. And the story doesn't move forward through silence. It moves forward through dialogue. Even after fear enters the story, God is still speaking. Many of us were taught that Genesis 3 is the beginning of shame. But the text itself shows something quieter. Fear enters, hiding enters, but God doesn't disappear. The distance in the story is real, but it's created by hiding, not by God. That distinction changes how the whole story reads. Now, I'm not asking you to change what you believe. I'm inviting you to read the story again, slowly, carefully, honestly, and notice what the text says and what it does not say. Because sometimes healing doesn't begin with the answers. It begins with a question. Where are you? And that question is still there. I'm Quille, and this is Truth Over Tradition, a space for slowing down familiar stories and letting the text speak for itself, because I believe that finding the truth matters.